Silence. It's one of those strategies men often turn to when they feel ignored, rejected, or unappreciated by a woman. The idea is simple. If you stop talking to her, she'll miss you. If you pull back, she'll suddenly realize your worth and come running back. But the reality, my dear, isn't that simple. Silence doesn't always make her miss you. In fact, more often than not, it pushes her even further away. So today, let's talk about why silence doesn't always work and the harsh truths that every man needs to face if he truly wants to understand how women think, feel, and respond. The first truth is this: silence doesn't make her miss you if there was never a strong emotional connection in the first place. Many men go silent hoping that distance will somehow create desire. But here's the problem. If she never felt deeply connected to you emotionally, your silence isn't felt as absence. It's felt as indifference. She doesn't feel your lack of presence because she never attached herself to you emotionally to begin with. For silence to create longing, there has to be a void to fill, a bond that was once vibrant. Without that, your silence is just space, empty, meaningless space. So if you're going silent after a few casual conversations, hoping she'll chase you, you're waiting for something that won't happen. A woman can't miss what she never truly had. The second harsh truth is that silence can often be misinterpreted as disinterest. Women are incredibly intuitive. When a man goes quiet, they don't always see it as a move to gain space or respect. They often see it as a sign that he's no longer invested. In her mind, silence equals his over it. So what does she do? She mirrors that energy. She tells herself she won't be the one chasing. She won't be the one begging for attention. And just like that, both of you drift apart, not because of anger or betrayal, but because of assumption. Silence, instead of drawing her in, becomes the wall that ends what could have been something meaningful. The third truth is that silence doesn't work on women who are emotionally independent. Many men assume that all women crave attention or validation, and that silence will trigger her curiosity or fear of losing him. But that's not true for a woman who has built her own peace, her own emotional stability. A woman like that doesn't chase absence. She respects it. She takes your silence as a sign that you need space or that you're simply done, and she moves accordingly. She won't break her dignity for communication that feels forced. When she doesn't hear from you, she doesn't wait around. She focuses on herself. And by the time you come back thinking she'll miss you, she's already found her balance again. Now, the fourth truth is one that stings. Silence can sometimes confirm her decision to let you go. If you two were already on shaky ground and you decide to pull back completely thinking she'll realize your value, you may actually just be validating her doubts. She'll take your silence as proof that the connection wasn't worth fighting for, that maybe she was right to question your effort, or that you were emotionally unavailable all along. The truth is, when you go silent at the wrong time, it doesn't inspire her to chase, it convinces her to close the door. And once a woman emotionally closes that door, it's almost impossible to get it open again. The fifth truth is even deeper. Silence only works when it's backed by purpose, not ego. Too many men use silence as a game. They disappear to manipulate her emotions, to test her reactions, or to punish her for not giving enough attention. That kind of silence comes from pride, not peace. And women can sense that energy. Silence born from ego is cold. It feels like punishment, not reflection. But when silence is born from self-respect, it feels different. It's calm. It's mature. It says, I'm giving you space, not because I'm trying to make you chase, but because I value my energy too much to beg for attention. That's the silence that speaks powerfully. That's the kind that might actually make her reflect. The sixth harsh truth is that silence doesn't replace communication. You cannot build or repair connection by avoiding it. Too many men think that pulling away will somehow fix what words couldn't. But silence doesn't solve misunderstandings. It amplifies them. It doesn't bring clarity. It breeds confusion. A woman who truly cared for you might start doubting herself, replaying every word, wondering what went wrong. Instead of missing you, she becomes emotionally exhausted by the guessing game. What you think will make her crave you ends up making her question the entire relationship. Communication, not silence, is what creates emotional safety, and emotional safety is what makes a woman want to stay. Let's be honest. Sometimes silence feels powerful because it's easier than vulnerability. It's easier to pull away than to say, I feel hurt. It's easier to stop talking than to express disappointment. But silence can only protect your pride. It can't nurture your connection. If she did something that bothered you, silence won't teach her. It'll only confuse her. Growth happens through dialogue, not distance. A man who can communicate his emotions with calm strength will always be more respected than a man who hides behind silence. Silence can be a healthy response in some moments, yes. If things get heated, if arguments become toxic, if emotions are too high, it's okay to step back and gather your thoughts. That kind of silence isn't manipulation, it's maturity. But you have to know when silence turns from strength into avoidance. Because when you stay silent for too long, people stop waiting for your words. They adapt to your absence. They stop checking their phone. They stop caring. And then the silence that was meant to draw her back becomes the very thing that ends it all. There's another side to this too. When a man relies on silence to gain control, it shows that he's not truly in control of himself. Real confidence doesn't need to manipulate. It doesn't need to prove a point. It doesn't seek attention. It commands it naturally through presence, purpose, and consistency. Silence can't make her miss you if your energy was never grounded. Women don't miss silence. They miss how you made them feel when you were present, attentive, emotionally available. It's not your absence that leaves the mark, it's your presence. You see, when a woman truly misses a man, it's not because he disappeared. It's because when he was there, he made her feel something she couldn't easily forget. He brought calm in chaos. He made her feel seen. He made her feel valued. That's what lingers in her heart. Not the silence that came after, but the energy that came before. So if your goal is to make her miss you, the answer isn't disappearing. It's showing up differently. It's being consistent, being authentic, and knowing your worth without needing to play games. When you disappear just to get her attention, you give your power away, because now your worth depends on her reaction. But when you walk away with peace, without expecting anything, you reclaim your power. There's a huge difference between silent manipulation and silent strength. Silent manipulation says, I'll ignore you until you chase me. Silent strength says, I'll give you space because I respect both of us enough not to force something that doesn't flow. Silence only works when you've already spoken your truth. When she knows exactly how you feel, when you've expressed yourself with clarity and confidence, your silence then carries meaning. It's not confusion anymore, it's confirmation. She knows you care, but she also knows you're not willing to chase where you're not valued. That's when silence becomes powerful. But when silence is your first move, when you haven't even tried to express yourself, it's just emotional immaturity in disguise. Many men misunderstand women's emotional psychology. They think being quiet will make her wonder, but what really makes her wonder is growth. When she sees you improving yourself instead of trying to prove something. When she sees you focusing on your purpose instead of her reactions. When she realizes you're not bitter, just better. That's what makes her curious. That's what makes her miss you, not because you vanished, but because you evolved. Women don't chase absence. They chase energy. They don't crave silence. They crave connection. If you want her to miss you, give her something real to miss. Be the kind of man whose silence speaks peace, not punishment. The kind whose presence feels like home, not chaos. The kind who doesn't need to play games to prove value, because his actions already show it. When you use silence the wrong way, it becomes a prison. You trap yourself waiting for a reaction, constantly checking if she noticed. But when you use silence the right way, it becomes freedom. You no longer need validation. You stop chasing closure. You focus on yourself, your healing, your peace. And ironically, that's often when she starts to notice. Not because you went silent, but because your silence has purpose. True strength isn't in how quiet you can be, it's in how grounded you remain when she's silent too. Because at some point, the roles reverse. When she goes quiet, when she stops reaching out, when her energy changes, you'll understand how silence really feels. And that's when you'll realize that missing someone doesn't come from absence. It comes from connection. You can't miss silence. You miss energy. You miss presence. You miss what once made your soul feel alive. So before you decide to go silent hoping she'll miss you, ask yourself, what will she actually miss? The real you, or the version that played games? The man who communicated, or the one who withdrew? Because if she's going to miss you, let it be for your peace, your power, your purpose, not your silence. And if you truly want to get her attention again, stop being the ghost she can't understand and become the man she can't forget. Because silence doesn't make her miss you. Growth does. Emotional maturity does. Respect does. The version of you who chooses self-control over reaction, that's the one she'll think about long after you're gone. The truth is, love isn't a power struggle. It's not about who talks less or who cares more. It's about two people meeting halfway with honesty and effort. When you use silence as a weapon, you lose sight of what love is supposed to be, a partnership, not a performance. So don't let your pride keep you quiet when your heart still wants to speak. Don't let fear of rejection turn you into someone cold. Be brave enough to express, strong enough to walk away when needed, and wise enough to know that silence only has power when your presence already had meaning. Because in the end, it's not the silence that makes her miss you. It's the man you were before the silence began. When a man goes silent, he often imagines a scene in his head where she's sitting somewhere, thinking about him, wondering what he's doing, missing his presence, and regretting how she treated him. That's the fantasy many men hold on to. But what really happens most of the time is the opposite. She doesn't sit around waiting for your message. She keeps living her life. She scrolls through her phone. She talks to her friends. She distracts herself with work, and eventually she adapts to your absence. That's the part men never prepare for, the moment she stops noticing you're gone. Silence doesn't make her obsessed, teaches her how to live without you. The longer you stay silent, the more comfortable she becomes in that new reality. You're trying to create longing, but instead you're creating detachment. And that's the harsh part about emotional distance. It's not dramatic. It doesn't happen all at once. It's slow and quiet. One day she checks your messages less often. The next day she forgets to think about you. And then one morning she wakes up and realizes that your silence doesn't hurt anymore. She's not angry. She's not even sad. She's just indifferent. And once a woman reaches indifference, there's no game, no silence, no trick that can bring her back emotionally. The truth is, women don't respond to tactics, they respond to energy. You can't use silence to replace emotional depth. If you made her feel safe, seen, and valued, she'll think about you even if months pass without a word. But if she felt confused, manipulated, or emotionally starved, your silence only confirms what she already sensed, that you were never really emotionally available. She doesn't miss silence, she misses safety. She doesn't crave space. She craves presence that feels real. Sometimes men mistake emotional withdrawal for power. They think, if I don't call her, she'll realize I'm the prize. But the truth is, real power doesn't need absence to be recognized. Real power is in consistency. It's in being able to communicate your boundaries without games. It's in being grounded enough to walk away with peace, not spite. Because when silence comes from a place of insecurity, it's not strength, it's fear. It's the fear of vulnerability, of rejection, of facing emotions that you'd rather hide behind a wall of quietness. But that wall doesn't protect you, it isolates you. You have to understand that women are emotional communicators. They interpret silence differently than men do. When you go quiet, she doesn't automatically think, he must be working on himself. She thinks, he's pulling away because he doesn't care. And even if that's not your intention, that's how it feels to her. Emotional absence translates as rejection in a woman's world. If you want her to value your silence, she has to first know that your presence meant something. You can't skip that part. You can't build mystery out of emptiness. A woman who truly felt your energy will notice your absence, not because you're playing hard to get, but because your energy was once so genuine that it left an imprint. But that doesn't come from silence. It comes from depth. It comes from the conversations that went beyond surface level. The moments where she saw you as real, not just strategic. The way you made her feel safe being herself, that's what lingers when you're gone. Silence without foundation is just a void. Silence after real connection becomes reflection. Most men want to be missed, but few understand what makes someone miss you. It's not your messages, it's not your calls. It's your emotional impact. It's how you made her feel when she was around you. Did she feel understood? Did she feel appreciated? Did she feel that you cared without needing to control? Because when a woman feels emotionally fulfilled, even if you go silent, she'll think about you with warmth. But if she felt dismissed or confused, your silence will just reinforce that emotion. She'll think he's proving who he always was. You also have to face the reality that silence can backfire when the woman you're dealing with has options. The dating world today moves fast. When you go silent thinking she'll chase you, you're leaving space for someone else to fill the emotional gap you left behind. You think she's sitting there missing you, but in truth, she might be talking to someone new, someone who's showing her attention, consistency, and warmth. Silence doesn't always make her curious. Sometimes it makes her replace you. That's not because she's cold or heartless, but because women, like anyone else, crave emotional connection. If you withdraw it, someone else will offer it. And that's the reality men don't like to face. When you go quiet, you risk becoming forgettable. In your mind, silence is power. In her world, silence is space to move on. And when she moves on emotionally, you'll realize that the distance you thought would bring her closer actually built the bridge she used to walk away. That's why timing and intention matter so much. Silence without communication or clarity doesn't feel mature. It feels careless. But silence, when used with awareness, can still be powerful. Not to manipulate her, but to center yourself. When you take space not out of ego, but out of growth, your silence transforms. It stops being a weapon and becomes a statement. It says, I know my worth and I won't beg for attention. It says, I'm not running after validation. That silence doesn't scream, it speaks, it radiates calm. And ironically, that's the version of silence that might make her wonder. Because peace is magnetic. Women are drawn to a man who isn't ruled by his emotions, who can step back without turning cold, who can be silent without being petty. That kind of silence feels grounded. It communicates self-control, not emotional detachment. When your silence carries purpose, not punishment, it changes everything. It's not about making her miss you. It's about reminding yourself that your energy is valuable. But silence should never be your first move. Communication should always come first. You have to express yourself before you withdraw. If she disrespected you, let her know. If something hurt you, say it calmly. Because silence without clarity isn't strength, it's confusion. You're not teaching her how to value you. You're teaching her that you disappear when things get uncomfortable. And that pattern doesn't make her chase you. It makes her lose trust in your emotional stability. A woman respects a man who can handle conflict with maturity, who can express himself without attacking, who can pause without ghosting, who can take space without abandoning. Those are the traits of emotional intelligence. And emotional intelligence is what truly makes a man unforgettable because it's rare, it's real. It's balanced. There's another truth men often overlook. Women crave emotional closure. When you go silent without explanation, she doesn't just miss you, she questions everything. She replays moments wondering what went wrong. That confusion doesn't make her fall deeper in love. It drains her emotionally. Eventually, she gives up, not because she stopped caring, but because she got tired of caring alone. Silence can feel like abandonment to someone who still had feelings, and abandonment doesn't create attraction, it creates walls. If you want her to value your absence, give her clarity before you go. Tell her what's on your mind. Be honest about your need for space. Say it with calmness, not pride. That way, when you do go quiet, she doesn't feel ghosted. She feels respected. And when a woman feels respected, she reflects. She might start realizing what she lost. That's when silence becomes meaningful. But silence used as punishment, as control, or as emotional manipulation will always backfire. It might make her chase you for a little while, but eventually she'll resent you for it. Because deep down, no one likes to be played. No one likes to be ignored just to prove a point. Real love doesn't need silence to prove power. It needs understanding to build strength. You have to ask yourself, why do you want her to miss you? Is it because you truly care about her and want her to see your value?